Hi everyone, and welcome back to Resin with me, or if this is your first video, welcome to Resin with me. Welcome to my channel. And today we are going to finish up the other 2 sets of coasters from that custom order of 4 sets. So I hope you're ready for another 2 for today. Yeah, the last sets I made were the pink, gold, and the teal sets of coasters, so go check out that video if you want to see how I made those. Today, the other 2 sets are going to be, one set's going to be like a green and gold earthy tone, and then the last set, she's told me, she was like, surprise me, make whatever you want, so... I'm thinking I love this wine color from the Hippie Crafter, this mica powder. So I really want to see what a coaster set would look like using that color. So that's what I'm going to go for. I've got my resin all mixed up here. This is my ZDSsticky Resin, and it's a 1:1 ratio, but it's a pretty good thin 1:1 ratio resin. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with mixing up my colors. Alright, so I think I'm going to start with my darker colors first, the ones that I usually will put around the edge of the coasters. So we'll mix up some wine color. So there's our wine color, and it's just so darn pretty. Oh, I love this color so much. Alright, so we'll leave that one, and then we're gonna do a like darker golden color, maybe not super bright gold, a little more like bronzy gold. So that's going to be the outer edge of our earthy tone color, or blah, blah, blah. If I can talk, our earthy tone coasters. So I'm going to just start off with some gold, and then maybe add like a little bit of copper or something else. So I don't think I'm really going to go over all of my products that I'm using, just because I kind of, when I'm trying to get a very specific color and I don't have a powder or anything that's exactly that color, I kind of just have to mix and match until I get what I'm looking for. And right now I've got like 3 different brands of powders, so yeah, just sometimes you just gotta mix and match. Alright, so there is the earthy gold. It's, you know, it's always a little bit darker in camera, or at least from how I'm looking at the camera, but it's a nice like brownish gold color. So I did use, I'll go ahead and show you guys because I feel bad not telling you what I used. I used, not that, Meyspring Golden Labradite, and then a little bit of Rolio Copper, and a little bit of the Hippie Crafter Burnt Umber. So I used those 3 to get this really nice dark gold color. Alright, so next I will go ahead and mix up my lighter, well, I guess technically for this one it's going to be a darker color, but I'm going to mix up my second colors. Alright, so I'm just going to add a little bit of this wine color into our second cup. And add some more clear. right, so there's what we're starting with, and I do want to go lighter. So I've got some burgundy and copper. Both of these are Rolio, so I'm just gonna add and see what color we get. Ooh, that's really pretty too. But I think it's a little too close to the wine color. It is redder. Ooh, it's a really pretty red. I like it. Still, it's a little bit too close, so I'm gonna add some copper now. Alright, so there are the two colors. Oh, I don't want the stick to fall out. So you can see this one, I got it lighter, more of an orangey copper color, and this one is that deep wine red. All right, so for this one, I am actually not going to use any of this golden color because the other color is green. So, you know, I just don't really feel like I need that. And this is the one that I think is gonna be a little bit trickier. I do have some pigment paste, and I will have to use that, but then it's really the only one that I'm going to use a paste in, so it shouldn't be an issue, but I will still want to add like some mica powder for that sparkle, for that shimmer. So I think that is a good earthy tone green. Okay, so I ended up using Let's Resin green pigment paste because this is really the only thing that I have that is a true green. And then I have no mica powders that I would consider green. They're all like, you know, like this one is a bright green, and then I have some that are like teal or jade, but I don't have any that you would consider like an emerald green. So that is something I do need to get. But I also used the Rolio Parakeet green powder. And then to tone down that, you know, brightness, I used the Hippie Crafter burnt umber mica powder, just a little bit of this. And yeah, I'm really happy with the color that came out. So all right, I think we're making some good progress. So I'm gonna clean these off a little bit. There is a little bit of mica powder on the mold, so I'm gonna clean that off and then be right back. All right, so I think we are ready to get pouring. So we'll start off over here first, and I'm gonna go in with my dark wine colored. Alright, so first set is poured, and it looks like the copper just finished meeting up with the wine color on all of these, so I'm going to move over here and we'll go with our brownish gold color. Alright, so I'm going to give these a quick torch, and then I will add in a little bit of clear in the center. So I've got my clear, and I'm just going to add a little bit of the clear in the center of each one of these. Alright, so there are our coasters, and we're just going to let this set up now. I'm going to let this harden overnight, and then in the morning I will come back, and that's when we can start adding like some crushed glass glitter, all this stuff to make it look more geode-y. So alright, you guys, so the coasters are all set up now. And on these, I did struggle a little bit with getting these the way that I wanted them to look. The gold just kept taking over. So what I ended up doing was I scrapped the first set. They just didn't look right, and I think they're in the trash, but there's stuff on top and I'm not going there. So they just didn't look the way that I wanted them to. I did not like them. So I got rid of those and then redid them. This time though, what I did was I mixed up the resin and I mixed up my colors. And I let those sit in the little small 4-ounce cups for, I want to say like 45 minutes, because they were pretty warm to the touch already. And that was just so that they could start to, so that they weren't so runny, and that they were starting to just kind of become like a gel almost, but not quite to that point. They were just thicker. And so that kept the gold from like immediately rushing in. And so I was able to keep some of the green, because by the time they started to set up, you know, the gold hadn't come all the way into the middle yet. So that's a tip. If you're not getting the look that you want, you know, the colors are just, they're blending too much, maybe you want a really defined colors, then you can wait for them to start to set up. Now these I do like, because you do see that color difference. I like that there's the wine, the darker wine color, and then there's that like slight crackle effect in the middle to get lighter. I love that. So I'm very happy with these. These are gonna look, I can't take it out, you know, I can't bring it up to you, but if you'll see, they do have kind of this, and you can tell that I redid these, that's why they're still bendy, and these are not, because I did redo these, but I do still like that middle look. That is when you pour your clear in and it kind of pushes the color out, but it makes this like bubbly, like, I don't know, it's just a really cool look. So I do still like that. And we are ready to add our shiny stuff. I'm gonna start with this side, because for these I have ordered a wine colored crushed glass that is supposed to get here tomorrow. So I don't have everything to do these yet, but essentially what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to use a copper glitter around the edges and in the center, and then on top of that I will add the wine colored crushed glass. So of course I will show you once that's actually finished, but for now we're just going to work on the gold and green. And so like I said, they are still very, very bendy, but they are set up. Like if I were to really push into them, then it would dent, but otherwise they're set up. I can touch them. They're not sticky anymore. So I feel comfortable working on them with this for this next step. And I'm gonna go with some darker green glitter. Just because we are going for like more earth tones, so I don't want anything super bright, even though I love super bright. That's not what the customer wanted. So I'm gonna go in with the green glitter and some gold crushed glass. And so like my other teal and rose gold video, I am just gonna work on one with you all, and then I'll do the others off camera, just because they do take a long time. And so this video would be really long if I did all of them on camera. So I'm gonna grab a chair really quickly, and I will be right back. All right, so yeah, I do like to grab a chair when I do this part, because it's, like I said, it just takes a while, and like standing and leaning over, my back starts to hurt. So I'm getting old. All right, so I've got my DuraClear Satin Varnish that I use for any time I add glitter or crushed glass onto like a hard piece. I'm gonna go with this glitter from Lrisy. And I've got some silicone brushes. I've been trying to use these silicone brushes because I used to use the regular just paint brushes, but I've always felt like after a few uses, they would just be hard. Even though I would wash them, they would eventually, after a few uses, still be hard, so I would have to get a new set. So I'm just trying to do the silicone so that I don't have to go through so many paint brushes. But I don't know that I've used it for this yet. I may have. So I guess we'll see how good they are for this part. So it's a little runny. I'm going to add some more glitter. And again, there's that, it's a fine balance of trying to get it to be spreadable, but not, like, you don't want it too thick because then it's hard to spread it, but then you don't want it too runny because then you just can't control where you place it very well. Alright, so I've got my glitter around the edge, and then I'm just going to go in with this smaller, finer silicone brush and pull some of it in, just make little, you know, uneven edges and some streaks. Okay, so there is the green on the edge. I think this really was my first time using the silicone brush for this method because it definitely felt different. And I would say to use the silicone brush, I think you definitely need to use a lighter hand than you would with a regular paintbrush, because what happens is, let me see if I can show you. If you use kind of a heavier hand, heavier touch, and you pull, do you see? I think you could see just for a brief second that it pretty much just pulls, makes a line through the glitter. It doesn't bring it with it very much, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't drag the glitter, it drags through it and makes like a line. So definitely use a lighter touch. Don't put all the way down to your actual coaster. Just kind of go along like the very top of the glitter. And then it does drag it out. So that's really the only thing that I felt was different. I probably do prefer the regular paintbrush, but it wasn't too much of a different effect, too much of a different look using the silicone brush. And again, I don't want to keep having to buy lots of paintbrush sets, so this is still a really, really good option, and that's what I'm going to go with. I would say though that I think the regular paintbrush is probably a little bit easier, and I'm looking for my crushed glass and I cannot find it. Oh, there, under the glitter. Okay. Oh, okay, so before I add the crushed glass, I am going to go ahead and add my center of green glitter. And so this is actually why I didn't mind that this glitter is darker than this one, because they're both going to be right next to each other. So I think that's just going to be perfectly fine that you have this like darker one in the center that spikes out into this lighter green. I think that will look perfectly fine. You know, when you have to make like a specific or like a custom color, you're probably not going to have every single shade of glitter ever. I mean, maybe someone does, but I don't. So if I don't have a specific shade, I really just try to find something that I think is going to work well. Yeah, sometimes you just got to work with what you've got. right, so there is the glitter in the center. And I will say, actually, a good thing about the silicone brushes is that if you get glitter like in a spot that you didn't really want it, or maybe your point went out too far, it actually does a good job of, you know, if you swipe it with your silicone brush, it comes right off. So that's a good thing about the silicone brushes. So now I'm going to go in with my crushed glass, and yeah, I'm just going to place it loosely. I was thinking about maybe using some varnish, but you don't really need to. All right, so I've got my popsicle stick, and I'm just going to place that right along the edges. Alright, so there's my crushed glass on the edge, and some of the pieces, again, since it was loose, some of it did kind of fly out. So I'm just going to grab those pieces and either remove them or just kind of push them back where I think they look better. Alright, and so there we go, and you can see I don't, like, I've got one right there. I know you can barely see it, but there's one right there. I'm perfectly fine with them not being perfect, you know, not all being right up against the edge, because in real life, you know, rocks and geodes, they're not perfect. So I am just fine with having some small imperfections, because I think that makes it look just a little more realistic. And not to say that these are super realistic. I know they're not, but I don't know. I just think that the slight imperfections really add to it. They don't take away from it. All right, and then lastly, we'll get some right into the center. And for the center, I usually just use my fingers, because I feel like that way I can get it right where I need it to be instead of it flying off. All right, so there we go. That's one coaster down. I'm going to work on the other three, and then of course once I get my crushed glass, my darker wine colored crushed glass in tomorrow, I can work on these. And then once all of my my crushed glass and glitter and stuff is all on, then I can put on a clear coat to just seal everything in, making sure nothing's going to come off. And plus it's bumpy, you know, you can't have a bumpy coaster, so that's going to make it nice and flat on the top, and then we can take them out of the molds. So yeah, I will do all of that off camera as far as getting the rest of the glitter on here. It's going to be the same exact process, same for these, just in different colors, and then adding some more resin on top of this. So yeah, I will be back once all of that is finished and these are ready to get out of the molds, and we can take a look at the finished product. Alright you guys, so our coasters are just about all finished up. Here is our green and gold. I love it. It's so, so pretty. Very happy with how that turned out. And here is our copper and wine / maroon. So pretty too. So I'm really happy with how both of these turned out. This particular customer has an extra request though, and so I figured I would go ahead and record that, just kind of show you all. So she asked if I can add a lip to these, just so that any condensation that falls from the glass will stay on the coaster and doesn't, you know, fall off the sides. So because I don't have any molds with a lip, like, and they would also be flipped upside down. So with these, you know, the top is what you're gonna use, the top of the resin. But if it had a lip, it would most likely be turned upside down, so the bottom would actually be the top. And I wouldn't want to use that because this is what the bottom usually looks like. It's just not that attractive. It's very like basic and no real designs or anything. So, I mean, obviously I have the glitter, so that adds to it, but just the design, like the fading of one color to another, you don't get that on the bottom. The striations, kind of the scaling look, you don't get that on the bottom. So, not with these anyway. So I was like, well, how can I do that? How can I add a lip? And then it clicked. And I thought, I have some UV resin, so why don't I try something with that? And I mean, maybe there's a better way. I don't know. Maybe other people do this. I truly do not know. It's just something that I thought of. And you can see, so I did it already to the teal and rose gold coasters. So you see that lip right there. But it's clear, so it's not like it really affects the top or anything. It doesn't change the way that the top looks. It just adds a little bit of height to the edges to make sure that nothing falls out. And it's not crazy high either, so it doesn't make them bulky or anything. So I figured I would go ahead and record how I do it. So I have a UV lamp right here. This one's just called Sun UV. Oop, turned it on. I just went to Amazon and looked for one. So I think this one was like $20 or $25. Nothing crazy expensive, but it works pretty good. So here is our UV resin. Again, this is just, it's just called UV resin hard. I don't know if it actually is a brand name. This is just what I ended up purchasing based off of price, and like I felt like it was a good amount for the price. So I'm happy with it. I think it works well. So again, there might be something better. This is just what I found on Amazon. But what I will do is go around the edge and just put a small amount. I kind of smooth it out, and I'm only going to go just a couple of inches, because if I were to go around the whole thing, then by the time, you know, I come back to the starting point, it's still fluid. It is thicker than regular resin, but it's still fluid. So by the time I would come back to the starting point, that resin that I first laid down would have started to spread out already. So I try to just go a couple of inches before it has time to spread out too much, get it into the light under the lamp, let that cure. So I do that for a minute. And then I'll, again, pull it out, go another couple inches, stick it back in. And I just do that until the coaster is all done. And then I will put the whole coaster under for like another 1 or 2 minutes, just to make sure that that last little bit of resin is cured, not sticky, not still soft or anything. So that's what I will be doing to these. So I'm just gonna go ahead and be quiet and do that and show you. All right, so that one's all finished up, and now we've got our lip added right there. It looks really good, and I love that, you know, it really doesn't affect the overall look of the coaster. It looks excellent with our little lip added. So I'm just gonna do the same thing for our wine colored, copper colored ones. And I was gonna say, this is also a really good, I know someone previously had asked if I needed to seal in the paint marker that I use as an edging on the coasters, and I said, you know, you don't need to seal them in because these markers are pretty difficult to remove. But if you do want to do that and you don't want to go with the normal process of turning the coasters over, putting on some liquid latex, letting that dry, turning them back over to the top, adding a thin coat of resin and letting that flow over the sides too. This is also another good option because it does cover that trimming, that gold edging. He does not want to focus. There we go. So yeah, it does seal it in. The only thing though is that it's not going to seal in the sides because I'm not adding the UV resin to the sides, just the top to create that little lip. But if that's really all you care about is just the top, then yeah, this is another option you can do for that. So I'm going to give that one final minute just to let everything get one last cure. I did want to mention though that for these coasters, I do charge a little bit extra because of this extra step. So, you know, it's extra time, it's extra material costs, you know, having to get this lamp and the UV resin. And then just, you know, each coaster I have to go through this. So a set of 4 coasters is going to take a while, since I do a minute for each little section that I do, maybe like 5 to 6 sections per coaster, and then an additional minute or 2 of it fully under. So yeah, I mean, it just takes more time and more materials to add this. So I just wanted to say, like, I do charge extra for this extra amount, this extra little bit. Just, you know, if any pricing tips, if y'all are interested in that or not. I can't say I'm the best at pricing, but I try to always consider my time and cost of materials. So there are all of our coasters. Oh, I love them. So I will go ahead. One final step is to add this, what is this? Guys, I just forgot what it's called. I know what it's called. Oh my gosh, I am blanking, you guys. So if you know the name of this, please comment below. But it's this material on one end, on one side, and then it's sticky on the back. You just peel off the white paper and then stick that on there. And that's so that it doesn't scratch your table. The only time that I don't use these are on a clear piece, a clear coaster, because then it wouldn't be clear anymore. So here are our final sets of coasters. So pretty, so all shiny and glittery. So here are the teal ones. We've got our rose gold, green and gold, and then our wine and copper color. So I'm very happy with them, happy with how they all turned out. I think the customer is gonna love them. These are the 3 that she specifically requested, and then this one, she's like, just surprise me with a color, so this is what I went with. But let me know which one's your favorite. I'd love to know. I think it's kind of hard. I think I'm between, oh, but I love these 2. I don't know, it's hard. I love all of them. But also let me know what you think about the round ones. She did want these round, and the rest with the geode edges. I think I prefer the geode edges for geode coasters. But let me know what you think, if you like the round ones, geode, which is your favorite set. I'm interested to know. But I am going to try to shoot one more video for you guys before I have to ship off my computer to be worked on. Let's see if I can get it done quickly. But I hope you'll come resin with me for that. And I will see you on my next one. And have a great day, y'all.